Self-focus also builds confidence from within. A man who pours into himself naturally carries a stronger presence. He doesn't need to beg for attention or validation because his accomplishments, discipline, and energy already give him power. That self-assurance is deeply attractive, and it lingers in a woman's mind even after you walk away. She may not have been interested in you at first, but the sight of your progress forces her to re-evaluate. Growth makes her ask herself, did I overlook someone valuable? Is he becoming the man I'll regret not choosing? That internal questioning makes her feel your absence more than your presence ever did. The truth is, people miss what they cannot easily replace. If you are stagnant, predictable, and always available, there is nothing to miss. But if you are constantly improving, elevating, and moving forward, you become rare. You create the sense that being with you is a privilege, not a guarantee. That's why focusing on yourself is not selfish, it's essential. It doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you unforgettable. And when she realizes that you are growing with or without her, that's when she'll feel the weight of missing you most. Scarcity is one of the oldest and most powerful psychological principles that governs human behavior. We naturally assign more value to what is rare, limited, or hard to access. The same rule applies in relationships. When a man is always available, always chasing, and always giving his time freely, his value in a woman's eyes diminishes. She knows he will be there no matter what, so she doesn't feel the need to fight for his attention. But when your presence is scarce, when your energy is not something she can easily have, suddenly it becomes more precious. Scarcity creates value because it awakens desire, curiosity, and the fear of loss. Most men don't understand this. They think that by flooding a woman with constant affection and availability, they are increasing their chances of being wanted. But in reality, overexposure kills attraction. It's the same way with anything in life. If something is abundant and easy to get, we overlook it. If it's rare and hard to reach, we crave it. Your attention, your time, your energy, they must be treated as valuable currencies. When you give them sparingly, they gain worth. When you hand them out endlessly, they lose their impact. Scarcity is not about playing games or pretending to be busy. It's about truly valuing yourself enough to not hand over your life to anyone without reason. It's about having a purpose, passions, and priorities that take up your time and energy. So naturally, you are not always available. This forces her to respect your schedule, to appreciate the moments you do give, and to realize that your attention is not something that comes cheaply. This is why men who have strong boundaries, who know how to say no, and who live with focus are the ones women chase. Scarcity makes a woman wonder where you are, what you're doing, and why you're not pouring all of your energy into her. That wondering creates emotional tension, and emotional tension is what makes her miss you. Even if she wasn't interested before, scarcity forces her to reframe her perception of you. She starts to think, if his time is so limited, it must be because he's important, because others value him, because his life is full. Am I losing someone I should have paid more attention to? Scarcity also creates anticipation. When she doesn't always have access to you, the moments she does get feel more meaningful. She will treasure them because she knows they are not guaranteed. Just like a rare event or a rare item, your presence becomes something to look forward to. And the more she values those moments, the more she fears losing them. That fear becomes the fuel that makes her miss you. You must remember, women don't miss men who are always around. They miss the man who knew how to pull back, who knew the worth of his presence, and who didn't make himself too easy to reach. When you understand scarcity, you don't have to chase her attention. She will naturally feel your absence and crave more of what she can't always have. That is the power of becoming rare. Indirect presence is one of the most subtle yet effective ways to make a woman think about you long after you've stepped away. Unlike constant calls, endless messages, or trying too hard to stay visible, indirect presence works quietly. It's not about forcing yourself into her world. It's about leaving traces of yourself in such a way that she can't help but remember you, even when you're not physically there. This type of presence is powerful because it doesn't come across as needy. It comes across as natural and effortless, which makes it far more impactful. When you try to occupy her mind directly, you risk pushing her away. Constant reminders of yourself can feel overwhelming or even desperate. But when your presence lingers subtly through the emotions you created, the memories you left behind, or the standards you live by, she feels you without you trying. For example, if you once shared a deep conversation that touched her, a simple phrase or situation in her daily life can remind her of that moment with you. If you introduced her to a new way of thinking, a song, or a hobby, every time she encounters it, she'll feel your presence. That is indirect influence. You're not there, yet you're everywhere in her thoughts. Indirect presence also comes from the energy you carry. When you live with purpose, discipline, and confidence, people talk about you, they notice you, and word of your growth travels naturally. She might hear from others about how well you're doing, how much you've changed, or how you're succeeding. That secondhand reminder plants you in her mind more powerfully than you trying to prove yourself. In her eyes, you remain relevant without even speaking to her, and that silent presence makes her curiosity grow stronger. Another form of indirect presence comes from the boundaries you set. When you don't chase her, when you don't flood her with constant attention, she starts to notice the silence. She wonders why you're not reaching out, why you're not behaving like everyone else who desperately seeks her approval. That absence, combined with the memories of how you made her feel, creates a strong emotional pull. She feels your presence by noticing the gap you've left. Indirect presence also works through timing. When you give someone intense moments of laughter, connection, or passion, and then disappear into your own life, you create a contrast that makes those moments echo louder in their mind. They replay them, they imagine them again, and the lack of your immediate return only intensifies the longing. It's like hearing a song once and then not being able to get it out of your head. It stays because it left an imprint. What makes indirect presence so powerful is that it doesn't demand anything. It doesn't beg, it doesn't force, and it doesn't overwhelm. It simply lingers. It allows her to feel you without you being there, and that makes her realize how much space you occupy in her thoughts. Even if she wasn't interested before, the quiet weight of your absence mixed with the trace of your influence will make her start missing you. That is the art of being unforgettable without trying to be everywhere at once. Confidence in detachment is one of the strongest signals of power a man can send. Most men cling too tightly when they like a woman. They fear losing her, so they overcompensate with constant attention, reassurance, and pursuit. But this energy only communicates weakness. It shows her that you depend on her for your sense of worth. True strength is shown when you can detach with confidence, when you can step back without fear, and when you demonstrate through your actions that your life is whole, whether she is in it or not. That type of detachment makes a woman miss you more than anything else. Detachment doesn't mean coldness or indifference. It means freedom. It means you're not controlled by the outcome. You can enjoy her company without needing to own it. You can care for her without chasing her approval. This balance makes you rare because most men crumble under the weight of their emotions. They give away all their power the moment they fear she might slip away. But the man who knows how to let go with confidence communicates abundance. He is saying without words, I'm not desperate, I have options and I know my value. That message stirs a deep reaction in a woman because it shows her she cannot control you. Confidence in detachment forces respect. When a woman realizes that you're not clinging to her, that you won't beg, that you won't sacrifice your dignity to keep her around, she begins to see you differently. Instead of viewing you as someone she can take for granted, she starts to recognize that being with you is a privilege, not a guarantee. This shift changes the dynamic completely. She no longer sees you as replaceable. She sees you as a man she risks losing if she doesn't value you. And that risk is what makes her feel your absence so strongly. The beauty of detachment is that it allows you to keep your frame. You're not reacting to her moods, her games, or her distance. You remain centered in yourself. That self-control is magnetic because it shows emotional maturity. A man who can walk away with calmness is far more attractive than a man who falls apart the moment things don't go his way. Women are drawn to that quiet strength because it makes them feel that you're grounded, stable, and not easily shaken. Confidence in detachment also fuels curiosity. When she realizes you're not waiting by the phone, not chasing her every move, and not trying to prove yourself, she begins to wonder, why is he so secure? Why isn't he trying harder to get me? Does he have something better? Is he slipping away from me? That wondering becomes the very reason she starts to miss you. It's not the clingy man she remembers. It's the detached man she can't stop thinking about. Confidence in detachment is about self-respect. It's about understanding that you never lose by walking away from what doesn't value you. That quiet, unshakable strength leaves a lasting impression. Even in your absence, she will feel the weight of it, and it will make her long for you in ways desperation never could. At the end of the day, making a woman miss you is not about tricks, manipulation, or desperate chasing. It's about becoming a man whose presence leaves a mark and whose absence carries weight. When you embrace the power of absence, carry an air of mystery, leave a deep emotional imprint, and master the art of controlled attention, you naturally stand out. When you focus on your growth, understand that scarcity creates value. Allow your indirect presence to linger. And most importantly, carry yourself with confidence in detachment. You transform the way she sees you. A woman doesn't miss a man who gives himself away too easily. She misses the man who knew his worth, who gave her unforgettable moments, and then stepped back with strength. She misses the man whose silence speaks louder than words, whose life continues to thrive without her, and whose presence is not guaranteed but earned. That's the kind of man she thinks about at night, the one she wonders about in silence, and the one she regrets losing when it's too late. So remember, the goal is not to chase her into missing you. It's to become so valuable, so unforgettable, and so rare that she has no choice but to feel your absence deeply. That is how you make any woman miss you, even if she wasn't interested before. When a woman doesn't seem interested in you, your natural instinct might be to chase harder, to try to convince her of your worth, to prove that you're the man she should notice. But here's the truth. Chasing never makes someone miss you. It only confirms to them that you're too available. If you truly want any woman to miss you badly, even the one who doesn't care right now, you must understand the art of absence, mystery, and self-control. Absence is one of the most powerful forces in human connection. When you are always around, always available, and constantly showing up, your presence becomes expected. It's no longer something she notices. It becomes routine, almost invisible. But the moment you step back, the moment you create space, everything changes. She begins to feel the shift. She starts to wonder why you're not calling, why you're not texting, why you suddenly seem harder to reach. That small dose of silence creates a vacuum, and the human heart naturally fills that vacuum with thoughts, feelings, and curiosity. Most men make the mistake of believing that more attention equals more love. They assume that if they keep proving their interest, a woman will finally see their worth. But in reality, over-availability kills attraction. It sends the message that your life revolves around her, that you have nothing else going on, and that your time has no value. But when you embrace the power of absence, you communicate something completely different. You silently show her that you are a man with a life, with priorities, with self-respect. You're not running after anyone, you're focused on yourself. Absence has a unique psychological effect. It triggers imagination. When you're not there, she fills in the blanks. She wonders what you're doing, who you're with, and why you aren't chasing her anymore. This is where desire grows, not from constant presence, but from mystery and uncertainty. Think about it. People don't miss what's always there. They miss what they suddenly don't have. Absence makes her look at you differently because now she feels the loss of your energy. But absence is not about ignoring or playing games. It's about balance. When you're present, give her an unforgettable experience. Make her laugh, connect deeply, leave her with warmth and emotion. Then pull back. That contrast between presence and absence is what imprints you in her mind. If you only give presence, she gets used to it. If you only give absence, she forgets you. But when you master the dance between the two, you become unforgettable. The power of absence also lies in self-discipline. It's not easy to step back when you like someone. Your emotions push you to call, to text, to try harder. But when you resist that urge, when you let her feel the silence, you gain strength. You train yourself to lead with control instead of need. That strength is magnetic. A woman can sense it without you saying a word. Absence also raises your value. Scarcity creates desire. The rarer something is, the more people want it. The same applies here. If every woman can have your time and energy easily, it loses value. But when you're selective, when you're not always available, you stand out. She realizes you're not just another man chasing, you're someone who chooses carefully where you give your energy. That realization alone makes her think twice, and it makes her miss you. Mystery is one of the most magnetic qualities a man can have. It draws a woman in without effort because what she doesn't fully understand, she naturally wants to explore. When everything about you is laid out on the table too quickly, when she already knows what you're doing every hour of the day, and when she can predict your every move, you lose the element that keeps her interested. Curiosity is the foundation of attraction, and without mystery, curiosity dies. When a man tries too hard to prove himself, he ends up over-explaining, oversharing, and overexposing every part of who he is. That might feel like honesty to him, but to her, it feels like there's no chase, no puzzle, no discovery left. A woman doesn't fall for a man because he gives her everything at once. She falls when she feels like there's more to uncover, when his depth can't be figured out too quickly. Mystery keeps her mind engaged, her imagination running, and her emotions stirred. Think about this. When you don't tell her everything, when you hold back just enough, you give her space to think about you even when you're not around. She begins to wonder who you really are beneath the surface. She asks herself questions about your past, your thoughts, your goals, and your secrets. That wondering is what makes her miss you. If she already knows everything, she has no reason to keep thinking about you. But when you carry an air of mystery, you live rent-free in her mind. Being mysterious doesn't mean being cold or distant. It's about balance. You share enough to build trust and connection, but not so much that she feels she's already solved the puzzle. You stay unpredictable in the right way. For example, instead of answering every text instantly, you respond on your own time. Instead of telling her your every plan, you keep parts of your life to yourself until she earns the right to know more. Instead of always showing up in the same way, you surprise her with new energy, new habits, and new standards. These small choices create a sense of unpredictability that keeps her engaged. Mystery also requires confidence. A man who is comfortable with silence, who doesn't feel the need to explain himself all the time, who can let a woman wonder instead of rushing to prove, this is the man who naturally pulls her closer. Confidence in mystery tells her, I don't need to be fully understood because I know my value. That alone creates intrigue. When you maintain mystery, you protect your energy as well. Not every detail of your life should be given away. Your dreams, your struggles, your inner world, these things should be revealed slowly, not as a flood, but as a story unfolding chapter by chapter. This way, she stays hooked because she doesn't know what comes next. And the more she wonders, the more she misses your presence. Mystery makes her feel like she has something rare, something not every man offers, and that rarity is what keeps her thinking about you long after you leave. What truly makes a woman miss you isn't just your words or your presence, it's the emotional imprint you leave behind. Human beings don't miss people. They miss the way people make them feel. If every time she interacts with you, she feels something unique, something she doesn't get from anyone else, then even in your absence, those feelings will haunt her. That is the power of leaving an emotional imprint. When you meet a woman, your focus should not be on impressing her with material things, constant compliments, or endless attention. Those things fade quickly. Instead, focus on giving her experiences that touch her deeply, moments of laughter, moments of meaningful conversation, moments where she feels seen and understood in a way she rarely does with others. When you create emotional highs in her life, you become associated with that energy. Even when you're gone, her mind replays those moments and she starts to long for them again. That longing is what makes her miss you. Too many men believe that presence equals impact, but that's not true. You can spend hours with someone and leave no real mark, or you can spend a short time with them and be unforgettable. It's not the quantity of time that matters, but the quality. A 5-minute conversation that stirs deep emotions will outlast weeks of empty interactions. If you want a woman to miss you badly, give her feelings that she cannot find elsewhere. This is why authenticity matters. When you are genuine, when you are fully present in the moment, when you look her in the eyes and actually listen to her, you create a deeper connection. Most people are distracted, half present, or surface level. If you rise above that and give her your undivided attention in those moments, she feels something rare. She feels valued, appreciated, and emotionally charged. That becomes your imprint. The emotional imprint also comes from contrast. When you make her laugh until her stomach hurts, then leave before the energy fades, she craves more. When you have a deep conversation about life, dreams, or fears, then you step back and give her silence. She replays those words in her head. The highs you create make your absence noticeable. Without contrast, there is no missing. If you're always available, always flooding her with attention, she has no space to feel the weight of your presence. But if you deliver emotions powerfully and then pull away, her heart naturally feels the void. Think about how songs, movies, or places remind us of people. That's the power of association. When she hears something that reminds her of a moment with you, the emotional imprint resurfaces. She doesn't just remember you, she feels you all over again. That's when missing you becomes unavoidable. Leaving an emotional imprint is about being intentional. It's about understanding that every interaction leaves a trace. If your presence brings joy, laughter, confidence, or deep thought, then even when you're gone, she will carry that energy with her. And when the world feels a little emptier without you, that's when she realizes she misses you. Attention is one of the most powerful currencies you can give a woman, and how you distribute it determines whether she values it or takes it for granted. Most men make the mistake of showering a woman with constant validation, texting nonstop, always complimenting, always checking in, thinking that more attention will win her heart. But in reality, overexposure kills desire. When attention is available all the time, it loses its impact. What truly makes a woman miss you is controlled attention, giving it in doses, not in floods. Controlled attention is about creating balance. You give her moments where she feels your energy, your charm, your focus, and then you step back and let the silence do its work. When she experiences both your presence and your absence, she begins to feel the difference. The intensity of your attention in small, intentional amounts makes her crave more, while the space you create leaves her wondering why you're not giving it all the time. That curiosity is what builds longing. Think about it this way. If someone gives you your favorite food every single day, you'll stop craving it. But if they only give it occasionally, in the right moments, you'll look forward to it, you'll savor it, and you'll miss it when it's not there. Your attention works the same way. When you give it endlessly, she gets used to it. But when you give it sparingly, with intention, she values it. Controlled attention also sets standards. It silently communicates that your time and energy are precious and you don't hand them out carelessly. You're not glued to your phone waiting to reply within seconds. You're not constantly chasing validation through her responses. Instead, you're focused on your life, your goals, your growth, and you share parts of that world with her when you choose to, not out of desperation. That self-control makes you stand out from other men who overgive without understanding value. It's also important to remember that controlled attention is not about playing games, it's about emotional maturity. You're not ignoring her out of spite, you're simply living your life in a way that doesn't revolve around her. When you do give her your attention, it feels genuine, present, and meaningful because it's not something you scatter everywhere. This makes your presence more impactful. She begins to realize that when you focus on her, it's special. And when you're not around, she feels the gap. This balance also keeps the dynamic exciting. Women crave emotional highs and lows. If you're always there, always available, the relationship becomes flat. But if you give her moments of attention and then step back, you create a rhythm that keeps her engaged. She never fully knows when she'll get your focus again, and that unpredictability fuels attraction. Controlled attention is about quality over quantity. It's about making her feel seen when you choose to give it, and then letting her sit with the absence long enough to feel the desire for more. When you master this balance, you make her miss not just your words or actions, but the way your attention makes her feel. And that's where real attachment begins. The most attractive quality a man can have is not how much he chases, how often he calls, or how hard he tries to win a woman over. It's how deeply he invests in himself. Self-focus and growth are magnetic because they show that you are a man who values his own life first. When a woman sees you thriving without needing her validation, she begins to feel something powerful: curiosity, admiration, and eventually the fear of missing out on someone who is constantly evolving. That is when she starts to miss you, even if she wasn't interested before. When you put your attention entirely on her, you send the message that she is the center of your world. At first, it might flatter her, but eventually it makes you predictable, ordinary, and too easy to figure out. But when you prioritize your fitness, your career, your goals, your passions, and your personal growth, she sees that you have a direction bigger than her. That creates both respect and longing. She doesn't want a man who revolves around her. She wants a man who revolves around his own mission. And ironically, that's the very man she ends up revolving around. Growth creates intrigue. When you're focused on becoming better every day, she can't put you in a box. One week she sees you learning a new skill. Another week she notices you building your body. Later she sees you leveling up your career. That constant evolution makes her curious because she realizes you're not the kind of man she can fully figure out. And the more unpredictable you become in your growth, the more she feels the urge to stay connected to your journey. Even when you're not around, she'll wonder, what's he working on now? What has he achieved since the last time I saw him? That wondering is the seed of missing you.